Turner aggressively out on Johnson. Johnson leans in, banks it home.
Especially in the postseason, went to Cleveland and now the Nets. Joe Johnson down the lane, rattles it home. Joe Johnson penetrates, dishes to Garnett, clock at 6 for Joe Johnson from the lane. Hanging gun goes. Joe Johnson to the lane. Floating gun goes. He put down a clinic.
ISO Joe. Johnson to the hoop. Count it.
He waited 5 of 20 for Carmelo. Joe just a nice steady. And look at his numbers at 4 for 5 from the 3-point stripe.
Jimmy,
the head coach when Hollins was the assistant here in Phoenix, so they've switched. Oh, the runner at the buzzer by Joe Johnson.
Here for the Warriors. Nets have missed 15 of their last 17 three-point shots. As Johnson dropped by Harrison Barnes on Joe Johnson. Johnson goes right back and scores.
Tough move by Joe Johnson.
Clock down to 5. Johnson with the runner. Joe Johnson with a nice move.
Let's see what Lionel Hollins has cooked up for the Blazers here.
Little pick and roll. Johnson puts it up and in again. So we've seen Johnson with Blake on him. Now wants to go inside. Clears out his teammates. Drives the middle. Scores again.
You got to give him credit. He was right there. But I like the aggressiveness by Andre Robertson on that play.
Here's Johnson, gets deep in the shooter's.
The 3, no! Rebound Ginobili after the miss by Bogdanovich.
There's a rule, Mark. Baseline drive, baseline drift. Carter Williams was drifting up towards the wing, and the ball went out.
Fires. 3-pointer won't go. Long rebound, Joe Johnson. Johnson in the paint and puts it in. 15. Williams kicks it down low. Johnson. And back-to-back jumpers for Brooklyn. Reminder is the layup. Teletovic the other way. Off the push. Finds Johnson. Drives in. Floater. Yes.
Defense by Henderson. Here comes Williams. Johnson with a head of steam. Down the lane and throws it in. 11-2.
Brooklyn leading by 6.
I love it when we saw him coming out. You were like, I didn't realize as we stood next to him how big he is. He is a legit 6'7".
Joe Johnson with a nice crossover and floater. Joe Johnson so effortless, so smooth.
Here's Sergei Karasev. Scored by Joe Johnson. Johnson hopping through, and that's going to be a goal.
Mozgov 4 stitches last night. Laceration above the left eye. Johnson the floater. There was a lot of blood. I don't know if he's 7 at home this season, trying to get to the 500 mark at Barclays. Johnson may have gotten away with a travel and prepared at any moment.
Yeah, but wingspan will factor in with Gay. Not on this one, though.
Johnson, the floater.
That scores to Johnson. He almost traveled. Count the basket and a foul.
Here in the 3rd. Johnson, the floater. Joe Johnson. He wants Johnson on an ISO. Johnson. High floater. Put it over Carter Williams.
With the bounce to Moose. Ball slapped away by Jarrett Jack. 7-point lead, 2:14 left. Time for our U.S. Marine Corps making a difference. Player profile.
What if it gets him off good looks?
And there's Joe Johnson to the hoop with a scoop. 4 here in the first half on 6 attempts. Johnson draws a double. He'll go baseline. Rudy put up a hand, and Johnson able to rainbow one up and over. Joe Johnson 0 for 2.
Gather up that energy. Timing is perfect.
Joe Johnson off the glass. Johnson in his 3rd year with his team. Remember, he spent 6 years in Atlanta.
Yours up because you'll force them to miss and hopefully turn it over.
Well, on this end, you better have your hands up. That's Joe Johnson.
Best seats at the best prices. Plus, as an MVP season ticket holder, you get exclusive perks like seat upgrades, exclusive events, merchandise. This game ahead of Detroit and Indiana. Joe Johnson in the lane, floats it. That's good.
See, and that's where Nerf's got to be a little careful.
The floater goes in with 1. It's the guy you got to worry about getting hot. Joe Johnson again. And that's a mismatch. He's got the size. 6 players with at least 1 assist for the Pelicans tonight. Joe Johnson, he wants Lopez. He'll take it himself and get the roll.
They shoot 57%, but this is the end of the floor. They've got to tighten up.
Joe Johnson easily. And that's 9 points in a row by Brooklyn.
The top of the key. 35% on three-point shooting this year for Dirk. Almost 40% last year. And Joe Johnson gets the shot to go. The Nets lead by 1.
Johnson working against Kid Gilchrist. Gets the deuce. Joe Johnson.
2010-2011. Shot clock at 3. Johnson into the paint. Gets it to drop. 4.5 on the clock. Suns by 2. Johnson. And that's 2 field goals here in overtime by Joe Johnson after
filling up the box score on a nightly basis. Johnson, too strong for Exum. And that's a big key. Thaddeus Young. Dang on Joe Johnson, the dangerous veteran perimeter star who bounces at home, the 14-year veteran from Arkansas.
About to come in, showing his appreciation. Joe Johnson averaging 15. Johnson shoved Grant out of the way and was able to get 2. Sixers are down to deuce. Joe Johnson got it.
It's so tough. Big guy like that with a handle.
Has any experience. Kmart had it, then turned it back over. Joe Johnson. And it's up to side.
That's why you always say with defenders, you got to have your head on a swivel. Pretty good defense by Buttinger, better offense by Joe Johnson.
Johnson turns the corner, Hill right there. And Joe Johnson, his second field goal.
Johnson. Johnson back in. Johnson, the deuce.
All right, so they get Joe.
Arizona checks in at 6'7", 225. Johnson the floater. Joe Johnson starting to heat up. Johnson matched up with Carroll, makes his move. Johnson to the hoop. Count it. Jack on a bounce. Johnson beats his man. Carroll hangs and hits. Joe Johnson cuts it to 4. 19 points for Johnson.
Well, now Pachulia, an up fake, a drive, a shoulder drop, and a miss.
Go to the corner. Everything has been difficult for Brooklyn on the offensive end.
Joe Johnson cans it. Bogdanovich starting the second half. We've seen this from Lionel Hollins now quite a bit. Johnson scores to open up the third. Johnson one-on-one with Gordon. Johnson the curl and the bucket.
This is definitely a team you can.
Vucevic 25 and 10. Nets trail by 1. Johnson splits defenders, takes it to the hole. It goes for Joe.
Renaissance for this team. You see some of their handiwork. Not only the 19 straight wins, they won 12 straight road games at one point. As Joe Johnson just 4 of 15 on the night. Around a second defender, running floater. Get it.
He worked hard.